double biceps. It is in the contract and legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. I do feel bad doing this sometimes when we have a guest that has a lot bigger arms than I do, but because I show it off like, hey, look at me, and then we've got somebody that's like, no? Well, that's worse for me because now you're looking bigger.
There we go.
Make yourself skinnier.
Perfect.
Oh,
Skinnier. Oh, now you've gone black. You've ruined everything. We have to start the show all over.
There we go.
Oh, we got there in the end. All right. Well, let me introduce the co-host, the co-founder. Oh my God. You're interrupting me with a bloody. Look at that. Let's do one more. We'll all hit the double bicep. Dave, get it out there. Jesus. It's like Mr. IFBB Pro there. Yeah. Oh man, it'd be interesting to see you and Brett Coots in like a proper bodybuilding show.
Yeah,
we might be in different classes though, because I'm a little bit taller, right? So
yeah. Well, it's well, he said he's going to be pushing up to 120 kilos.
Yeah, he's going up to 120. 120.
He's never been 120.
No, it's his 2025 goal is to be 120.
He wants to gain 20. Like, how heavy is he now? He's like 100, right?
Yeah, around 100, I think. 20 kilos of pure muscle.
It's insane. He looks like a cartoon character at 100 kilos. What's he going to look like at 120 years?
But like, I got up to 122 kilos, and it was just he is a grown man waddling. Like, it was bad. I couldn't turn my head because my neck was so thick. It was my head was massive.
Did you avoid shoes with laces?
Yeah, no, honestly, there was slip-ons. Like, wow. Like, even if I dropped change, if it was a coin, it wasn't getting picked up. I don't care how much it was. It was too far. I was just
it's gone. Don't worry about it.
Bad day. I come home and be bummed about it. I'd be like, I dropped like $6 in $2 coins.
Why didn't you just pick it up? It's like, no, you don't get it.
That's too far. The price would be massive. $6.
Yeah, honestly, like I couldn't even scratch the back of my head. You'd find like the brick wall. I'd be like, oh God, because I get cramps. I get a cramp on my lat every time I went to the toilet. Dude, it wasn't fun.
Have you ever experienced this? You've got a stitch when you were sitting down watching a movie.
No, I didn't get that big. I got the like I'm awake and snoring. I got plenty of that.
Oh, we haven't even done the intro yet. Let me do the intro. Then we'll start. Yeah. All right. The co-host, the co-founder, the co-breather of air, the co-wearer of clothes in this virtual room. It is none other than the king of sting, the master of disaster, the Count of Monte Cristo. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is none other than your friend and mine. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. It is in the background somewhere, the illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is none other than Dave Stockbridge. Stockbridge, welcome to your own show.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome as always with Matt Connelly. It's
man didn't even stutter.
I've done it a lot of times.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Lachlan Adair. He joins us here. We're already we're about 40 minutes into a podcast, but you guys have only joined in the last maybe 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm glad we've got the introductions now out the way. So, Lachlan, there's so much going on in the world of arm wrestling. Do you feel like right now you're perfectly poised to make the most of 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, no, I certainly do. Coming off the last win with Lars was really good. It was quite comfortable. I still had another gear that I could have kicked into, which was nice. But it was a hard match. But I've had a lot harder ones that I've had to grind out and win. So that was really encouraging. There was a fairly significant weight disparity on the day as well. So that was good. So yeah, I'm back down to 105, 106 kilos now. So I did bulk up for that by a little bit, about 109.
Yep.
But yeah. No, I don't know what's next, but it'll be soon. I know that.
At what point does the snoring kick back in? Is that around 110, 115?
That's about 115. That's when I snored.
115.
So the wife's like, "All right, that's enough.
Yeah.
You're on the cardio tomorrow."
Oh, right.
Oh, so how does it feel now? Like you've been through the lean years in arm wrestling. You came out the other side of COVID. It's you the number one in Australia. You've been unassailable for a long time, and you're now firmly a fixture at the biggest events in the world. Did you think maybe 5 or so years ago that maybe being a professional arm wrestler was a possibility and might be that thing that you could do full time in a few years' time if everything keeps moving forward with the sport's trajectory?
Yeah. Honestly, like when I got into it, I kind of felt like, and I got flack for this when I first came into the sport. My first 6 months, I called Ryan Scott out and I was like, "I'm coming, boy." Might not be today, but I'm coming. And look, that didn't get taken very well by the Australian arm wrestling community, but I wasn't wrong. Yeah. So, I've always pushed as hard as I can, and as an athlete, you always have to believe that you have the capacity to be able to take it a very long way. So, yeah, it was certainly something that I saw had potential to be able to do.
If arm wrestling didn't come along, what would you be doing right now?
I mean, I got pretty bored of powerlifting. It's a real boring way to train for a very long time. I think I did a pretty good job at doing it for as long as I did. But honestly, it'd be like BJJ or probably some sort of combat where I don't have to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So yeah,
One of my
you know.
favorite things with your training videos is where you'll be in the back shed and you'll have like 300 kilos and you're doing a deadlift. And then like your child will be sort of toddling around behind and you'll lift the weight and then you'll gently put it back down so that it doesn't scare him. And it's like, oh, he's so considerate of his son.
Oh.
It's 320 kilos.
Sometimes there was sleeping upstairs and I was like, I can't, I have to lift all of this slowly. And it forced perfect technique. Just had no other option.
Forces form like the wrath of a partner.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, and like I couldn't even rip it off the floor because my plates were steel. So like they're all 20, 25 kilo plates and they make a lot of noise. So I'd have to like slowly pull the slack out of the bar and just like edge it up slowly.
Like, oh no.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
is this now you've got your own training course now so if people want to specialize in arm wrestling, building their arm wrestling strength, they can subscribe. So is this kind of part of it, the slow move in the night time, that this is when you're encouraging people to train at night? So is this all part of
No. My children are older now. My children are older, so I'm ripping stuff around the gym. It doesn't matter. But the coaching's going really, really good. So we have like 12-week ebooks that are coming up by the end of the week, probably published by the next. I started doing a lot more content that's like deep dives into, say, for example, the press transition. So it's something I know I'm quite good at. I can transition to that press from some pretty disgusting places. And I've got a deep dive in how I do that from both top roll, hook, compromised wrists, and A side, B side. So yeah, that'll be in the subscriber part. Just generally trying to put more content out there and streamline all my processes. So there's more time that I'm spending on the coaching now, and it's been kicking off. It's doing really well.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing because one of the members in our club, Tyler Harrison, is one of your students. Seeing his progression.
He's off by himself now. The last
Oh, is
couple
he?
of months, that's always a goal for me when I'm coaching. Is like, if I can teach you enough to a point you can get proficient in doing your own training, great. Some people do, and then they just go, I just want you to tell me what to do anyway. And it's like,
Right.
all right, so we carry on. But someone like Tyler, very ambitious, very strong, very driven. And I knew very early on from bringing him on that he'd only be with me for, a finite amount of time. And yeah, I think he's doing great things. So we still have the odd chit chat, but Yeah, dude's a tank.
Yeah, well, seeing the progression in his hand and wrist strength while doing your program, because
Mm.
he was explaining to me in great detail all the little movements that you were getting him to do, and I was like, oh, okay. And by the third one, I was not listening, but
Yeah.
Cheat out.
it was so much technical knowledge, but he was really disciplined with it, and you could tell that you had instructed everything for a very specific reason. And over, maybe the first month, I didn't really feel much of a difference with him, but then after maybe 2 months, 3 months, I was like, oh, okay, now it's kicking in. I'm really struggling with him now. So it definitely had the progression, and he got the results from it.
Yeah, that's how all of my clients go. First month, it's the way it's designed. I'm not trying to break down tendons or anything like that or smash them in. I allow a fair bit of volume so they've got time for their brains to actually get proficient with the movement themselves, and then we can start, the stability starts kicking in after about a month, and they're getting access to strength they already have. They just haven't learned how to utilize it in that particular fashion. So a month, muscles are broken down, tendons are good, but then we start to get some condition, and we always find around that 2-3 month mark, it's like, oh, what's happened? So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's pretty fun. It's very consistent across the board too. So
Did you ever consider medicine or some kind of like physio or that type of
yeah,
work? Because you've got a really deep knowledge of biology, biomechanics, the nutrition. There's not too many other people I'd speak to that can speak so deeply on all of that subject matter.
yeah, I did a year of osteopathy, but then uh, had a baby, so kind of paused that. And osteopathy was really difficult to study because it's not widely
Well,
taught
it's difficult to
across a lot of
say.
universities. Yeah.
It's
So
like
Andy,
speech pathology.
what's Andy? Andy Melbourne.
Is he a physio?
Andy Handsome.
He's a yeah, the handsome one. He's osteopath.
Yeah.
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 So
So that's where
so
you would have been going?
I don't even
yeah.
understand what an
Okay.
osteopath does. What was it?
In a very broad
Nothing at all.
stroke, it's a cross between a chiropractor and a physio, but better
Right.
because they have a better understanding of both. So it's a 5-year full-time master's degree for you to be a qualifying practitioner. So it's a little bit more
Right.
than both of those put together. So
So you
yeah,
were already going in that path, and is
yeah.
that just a byproduct of wanting to become more proficient in powerlifting? And is that how did all of that start with you?
Um, kind of at the point where I was starting to push some really heavy weight in the gym and kind of had an idea that I probably got some kind of a future in strength sports. So it was like, okay, what do I need to do to become more serious? And I got stronger, injuries started to pop up, niggles, imbalances, dysfunctions. So I sought after someone who was very, very clever, really knew what they were doing, and kind of by proxy have become educated through my own injuries and then experience with helping others. And yeah, it's been a long time, but I've always had a really good team around me. So
Yeah,
mm,
and the reason I just highlight that a little bit is because you're obviously applying that knowledge to the the specifics of arm wrestling training,
mm,
and the results, as we've witnessed ourselves, have been quite extraordinary. So
mm.
when applied, so these courses are not just a matter of I do 8 to 15 reps with with a rope or something. There's a whole lot more to it.
Yeah, I put a lot of content in the introduction pages of my program so people can be autonomous as possible with it because I'm trying to give them as much as I can, including even the concept ideas around how I structure programs and stuff like that. So I do try to educate as much as possible. But as a coach, it makes my life easier because the more autonomous they are, you know, the less I have to coach them because I put more of that content in there as well. So, and there's video demonstrations of all the specific stuff too. So, yeah,
How,
it's a
how
bit of
much
an
is
operation.
How much of your time is now dedicated to doing things like the course and managing your social media and doing things like podcasts and promos for big events when you're and traveling even now? How much of your life is now taken up with all of this?
Oh, I'm busy, but I'm quite lucky with my partner who does a lot of my social media stuff now and kind of,
Awesome.
creates a lot of the content for me, and I just got to pump it out, which is lovely. Um, but yeah, honestly, the coaching side of things, it comes in sporadically, and then
Mm.
typically within a call, I'll have the program built as we're talking, or 30 minutes later.
Yeah,
I like to kind of churn them out, especially because it's fresh and I've got to customize things. So um, it, yeah, it takes quite a bit of time, maybe every month or so, where I'm sitting down and I'm reviewing a lot of programs and seeing some fundamental things that I want to change that complement from the previous month. And that can be person to person as well. So I do have somewhat of an algorithm that I'm quite quick in putting it all together, but yeah, it's uh it's not too time consuming, to be honest,
that's
but
great.
it's busy.
What?
Yeah, I'd imagine, and I
Mm,
guess there's also that upside where because it's not necessarily massively time consuming, you can take on a larger clientele, help more people,
yeah.
and hopefully, not it is your aspiration to break away completely from a normal job or what you're having to dedicate day to day to put food on the table to or doing this type of stuff full time.
Well, I'm a big fan of having multiple income streams, so I don't
Okay.
like ever having all my eggs in one basket. So it's something that even the other programs that I sell, I don't. It's no touch, no coaching. You get the program, you get access to the Google Drive, and then you just do it. So that one's been really popular, and that's kind of sparked the ebook idea. So again, that becomes even more automated.
Hmm.
Um, so I like being able to set up as passive incomes as possible. And I know Matt Connelly and yourself are quite successful in doing that also, but I think I'm trying to do that in the niche that I know quite well.
Nice. Well done.
Absolutely. What
Mm.
what
Good
is it?
advice. Good advice for young arm wrestlers.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a common theme that people are missing on their training? Like, is it just this? Like, is it wrist stability? Is it like cup, or is there something that everyone seems to just be missing?
What is Matt Connelly missing?
What am I doing wrong, Lachlan?
Yeah, okay. So this is an interesting point actually, because yeah, there is one main thing, and people arm wrestle this way as well, and it doesn't work. So I get a lot of barbell athletes, strength athletes that are looking to cross over into arm wrestling, and they become so finicky about technique that they're doing the lift perfectly every time, but then they want to apply that to the arm wrestling table. So they end up getting stuck doing moves. What I have to encourage them to do is start strict, but as things break down, now we're in a fight with the weight. So I don't, it's going to change, but because the vector that I've put, it can be high cable, diagonal, from side, whatever, different hand attachments, it's still going to be hitting those things, but now you're having to be in like a fight simulation, I guess, with the weight. So it's going to move and it's going to look different by the end of the set. But that's how we arm wrestle. Things break down. You get overpowered here, there, and you still have to move, keep my pronation at all hell, even though I'm losing it. I just need to hold on to it for long enough to get over the hill. That's kind of how I set up my sets. So
Mm.
it helps bridge the gap when people are on the table that they've trained in that fluid and malleable way.
That's one of those things I always say to, it's actually, I had this conversation with somebody on Sunday night where they say, is it better to train in the gym or better to train on the table? And I said, it's going to be different for everyone. But I said, it's very, very difficult to replicate the movements that are happening on the table with static weight in the gym. I said, you can set up your cables and everything like that, but you're never going to have the same thing as when somebody is dynamically, they're pulling and then they're hit faster and then they're coming back and they're changing technique and they're moving here. Trying to replicate that with weight is going to be very difficult. So I
It
always,
is.
I always highlight that, look, being on the table and arm wrestling is what your bread and butter, and then you're going to find out where you're weak, and you're going to go into the gym and make those areas stronger.
So another thing I get quite a bit is they go, should I just do this program and then I'll put away table time? And I go, no, you can do this program perfectly and become beastly with it. But then you go to the table and what happens? You die after 15 minutes. Nothing
Mm.
gives me arm wrestling conditioning like arm wrestling. And in fact, I
Mm.
can't maintain it in any other way. So the lifts are always, they need to be thought of, and really the whole framework, it's just an accessory to what you're mainly doing. So it has to complement. You shouldn't be taking things away. So
Exactly
um,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because somebody could get very strong in certain movements, like say that they get strong in their cup, they get strong in pronation and and hook and all the rest of it. But if they don't know how to apply that on the table, it's like, okay, yeah, you've got this awesome cup, you've awesome pronation, but you don't know when to use it, how to set up to use it. When your opponent suddenly blasts you into a press, like
Mm,
now you're down here, your cup, what's that going to do for you? You're on the way to the pin pad. So
yeah,
having the strength is great, but knowing how to use it and what it's for and what the purpose is when you're actually on the table is critical.
exactly. Yeah. All for it. So yeah, it's been busy putting everything together and getting arm wrestlers to stop overtraining. It's like my biggest my biggest quest.
Oh, so tell us what's 2025? What's going on? Do you get a calendar? Do you understand when you've got a matchup, or are there rumblings, or things locked in nice and early for you in the year?
Probably can't
No,
say.
no, they never are. The most notice I've ever got has been 3 months.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
So
just got to kind of always be ready for that call.
yeah, look, and that's how I designed the programming as well. As I come off comp, I have like 2 weeks rest, and then I'm doing another 12-week training block that's designed for me to have me peaked for 3 months later. So, which
Mm,
I would be doing anyway if I wasn't competing. So, it
mm,
kind of doesn't really matter, to be
yeah.
honest. Yeah.
With the size reduction, so you said you were walking around 122 kilos at one point. Now you're sort of
Yeah.
sitting around that 100 kilo mark, maybe a little bit bigger. I guess it depends on the opponent and what the weight restriction is.
Uh,
But
I don't think I could make 100. I'm dick skin lean at 105. So yeah.
I've never
I
heard
I
that
I ain't I ain't dropping. That's a lean boy. I think
before.
I think I could get as far as healthily as like maybe 102, 100. I'd have to build water cut, but yeah, it'd be brutal. So no, I don't see myself getting down there. I'll stick 105, 110. It's a good weight. But
Yeah, absolutely. But did
yeah.
you find that when you were that bulky in terms of that 122 kilo, where you said you couldn't put your hands behind your head or anything like that,
Mm.
on the table, did you find a restriction in the size for your pec and your shoulder? You couldn't get to positions that you can get to now?
Yeah, it sucked. And this is again the hardest thing that I have with big benches that come for coaching is they can't do this. Like they just can't
Mm,
achieve the angles. That's why every big bencher, where do they end up? They're
mm,
always open top roll. They can't get in. Materengi has only recently started getting his shoulder forward and pressing, but it looks tentative. Like he's not sure if he can put all of his power down.
mm,
Um, which is a nervous system response. His brain's just shuts it off. But I certainly found when I was 122, I would get pins and needles in my hands quite frequently. My gripper strength went down because all the nerves in my forearm were like
mm.
stuck, and I'd run out of room in my forearm. It was too much bulk. So as I've gotten leaner, what's interesting was I've kept all the same measurements. I've got 21-inch biceps. I've still got 18-inch forearms, but it's on a much smaller frame and I can access so many more of my angles. I haven't benched in probably 8 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
So what do
And
you do for chess then, or you don't?
oh, I do. I do. It's a very arm wrestling specific way. I put a strap around my elbow and I'm pulling it into, it's kind of, it's like a fly. I do allow myself to get into a stretch position, but I'm coming into this center position while I do it. So also there's a lot of pec activation when I'm kind of practicing the press transition as it brings it in, because I very much squeeze the peg as well. So there's a lot of pecs involved, but have found I can't get into those angles with a really big chest.
And
Mm.
did you come up with these ideas, or have you modified what you're already doing in the gym, or are these things that you've picked up just through being around other arm wrestlers over the years, or combination of
Um,
all of that?
it's really I've had a really big exposure to a lot of like a really broad range of arm wrestlers, and coming from different sports. I'd say it's an amalgamation somewhat.
Yeah, it's a mashup. Yeah,
mashup. Yeah, I kind of try to steal the golden nuggets and put them together.
I'm not sure of your history of how you got into the sport. I know you've come from a powerlifting background, but what drew you into arm wrestling?
It was Torben and Danny Tesh.
Right.
So I'd known Danny from early days. Early days. We were like 21 or something like that. I lived with him for a while, and I knew he arm wrestled, but he never bugged me. It was Torben that was an absolute pest, and I just ran out of I just ran out of excuses, and I was like, all right, I'll come. And then I turned up and I had Jordan Davis obliterate me when I was 30 kilos heavier than him. And I went, what is this shit? And it's never happened again.
Wow. You're like, I can't have this in my life. I must crush everyone. Well, wasn't that long that you started to take over?
That first night.
Yeah, that's right. It's still about Jordan now.
He still posts it. There's a video of us when I was just starting out, and I was clearly his junior, and he was teaching me things. And every year it comes up, he reposts it, and I'm like, really, Jordan?
Memories.
Yeah. And he does it knowing he's just been a shit.
You're like, I will show you, Jordan.
Yeah. And Torben still talks about the day that he beat me 4 weeks into the sport at Queensland States.
Well, they're going to keep posting them. It's like Ryan, how he posts his match against Evan Burgoyne. And then every 6 months, and then every gets all pissed off.
Just to remind everyone, I really like a long-lived petty plan.
Yeah. So you've cruised up to the point where you started to take over in the arm wrestling side of things for Australia. There was that question mark a little bit around Ryan Scott, yourself, and Ryan Bowen, but that's clearly been sorted out now. You're cleared the front runner there. You've had several wins against Ryan. I don't think you've actually gone against Ryan Scott, but Ryan Bowen had beaten Ryan Scott prior to you beating him
quite dominantly too. So
right,
and then he was at over the top, but he didn't make it through to the finals or the semi-finals. So
who ended up winning that?
I still have to check.
Have you?
No, I'm not giving a big one.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were awesome. Those. But I was wondering how people were going to get them through customs.
I just drove mine home. It was easy.
Well, but that was perfect time. It was a $10,000 first prize. You've won it, and your car had exploded the day before or something.
Oh no, it was at the mechanic getting a rebuild. Oh. And I knew I didn't have the money to pay for it unless I won it. So I could have been in a tricky situation.
Well, you did win it. You beat everyone that turned up at the
that's why I got so excited. I was relieved.
I can drive again. But yeah, so sitting in that number one position, and in recent times, probably the last 12 months, we've seen the rise of Rickard Bornman from South Africa, who's obviously been training with yourself and with Ryan, and you guys have been showing him the ropes. He's improved leaps and bounds. Now we're hearing a lot of, we want to see Lachlan and Rickard. We're getting a lot of that groundswell coming up from every time someone says Rickard's name, and then the next person says, what about Lachlan Adair? Who would win in a match? And we're like, we don't know. We want to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, we should probably pay some respect to Mario, who deserves probably that second spot because it is untested. So I think we'd like to see a match between Rickard and Mario. But yeah, definitely Rickard and I. Absolutely. We're gonna go at it. So we just don't know when, but he has two main moves, very well telegraphed, quite similar to Lars. So we'll see how we go.
Oh, didn't you teach him how to do it?
Yeah, I'm stopped teaching him.
Like, yeah, that thing that, yeah, just stop doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just next time I invite him to training, I know he's going to be late. I'm just not going to do nothing until he turns up. just stay fresh. No, because there was a while there that Ryan and Rickard and I were training quite regularly, and we always found that whoever went with Rickard first would like no. So whoever went first, so if Ryan and I went first, drastically changed the outcome of what we'd have with Rickard. And if we swapped it around, if Ryan went first with Rickard, I'd absolutely pummel him. It was just like it was this weird triad of like who went first was yeah, it made
Yeah.
all the difference. So
You
it
need
made things incredibly convoluted.
right. You need all
we
three of
didn't
you to go against each other.
yeah, we didn't even know. Like Ryan and I know, but we just couldn't figure out where we were. It was, yeah, it was quite odd. But no, we're keen to get him back in the country, and I'll give him a couple of weeks rest before I start swinging on him. So,
Yeah, well, the club that you guys have up there in Queensland, I don't know what's going on with Queensland, but they seem to be sprouting clubs up every week almost. I think there's almost 10 there now.
Yeah, I mean, the Kingpin crew share with me.
Mhm.
So sometimes we have it at my place, sometimes Marcus got something on, or if I got the kids or whatever, we just kind of bounce between the two because we'd only live 15, 20 minutes from each other. So yeah, so we bounce around. And then I think the powerhouse, they look like they're franchising. There's
Really?
there's like Northside Powerhouse, then there's Gold Coast, and then there's
Wow.
yeah, they're
Wow.
trying to pop up everywhere. So
Yeah. Well, you got the Gimpy Grippers and you got the
got the
Vikings. And
Vikings, yeah.
yeah, there's so many clubs up there. And
Yeah,
there
that's
seems to
good.
be every time I like, well, how many clubs are in Queensland? And it goes up, I swear, every single time. I was at 8, I think, last time I checked, but it's
Well,
probably at 10 now.
Kraken's merged with Northside Viking.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
then some of those boys come to mind because I'm closer to Bayside. So yeah.
it's too many.
We just post in all the groups. I've got training tonight. Whoever wants to turn up from whatever group, wherever, you're welcome. So, and I usually get 5, 10 guys, sometimes 15 in. So, yeah, we get an
And
alright
then
crew.
your hand does this, and no one else is. Well, everyone else moves, but you don't.
Yeah, it depends. Like Marcus is healthy right now,
Ooh.
and I couldn't work out if I was having a bad week or he was having a great week or both. But he was putting it on me pretty hard last week. So he looked and I was like, "What's going on?" He was like, "Oh, I can close my hand."
It was arthritis,
Yeah,
wasn't it? It was
Did,
stopping
did
you
he
yeah,
get
from
his
your
back
clothes.
massaged? Did he get treatment
yeah, yeah.
in his lat and in his? We were
See,
talking about that at
that's what it
AWE.
was. Yeah, that's what it was because he had that treatment like the day before training, and then he came to training, and he was
Yes. That's
yeah,
we'd spoken about that at great lengths after the last AWE event because he was complaining about it and that he wasn't able to do it and I gave him a bit of a massage and straight away he could feel the difference and it's like you just need it's so hard to get somebody who's strong enough to maybe do that like for an
yeah,
hour or something but you just need somebody to kind of really get into that and Mato Rungi similar
yeah,
he just couldn't access his strength because he was just all so banged up and
yeah.
just couldn't engage.
So that usually is for a couple of reasons. It's like rotator cuffs just get shots, usually infraspinatus teres minor with arm wrestlers. But then, the bigger guys will get thoracic outlet issues through here, which is through your brachial plexus and just how we're able to even do back pressure. It's going to jam up the neck. It's never a good time. So getting people to teach them to get access to their lats without rowing, because we don't want to row in arm wrestling, you just open your shit up. So it's like, how do I connect my lats to support all of that? Because if you're just loading up on that radial nerve in your upper back, shit's going to get stretched. We need bigger structures to be pulled into place. That's usually the pec, but then your pec minor gets jacked up, needs more support. So then when we're pulling, we have to really pay attention to our bottom 2 fingers, which is connected to our ulnar nerve, direct connection to the belly of our lats. So we're able to pull into our center line, keep all of that activated and tight, and we can roll off that quite easily, transition to a press. So having that ulnar as a base, I found can be really, really helpful, especially if the match stops, and just being able to push your shoulder forward and lean on your lats. it can be a good spot just to hang out for a bit. Yeah, and just keep everything tight the way it should be rather than banged up. So if this is all getting jacked up, it's because this isn't pulling it down where it should be. So we get a lot of pinched nerve. We ran out of room in the front of our shoulder. So we've got to find ways to be able to pull the humerus down in the socket. And it's a whole thing. But big guys typically it's an issue. Yeah.
Well, I think we all just got an insight into the value of your course as well. So that was an outstanding explanation as to what's going on there. And how would he remedy it apart from like in terms of his weight training? But so he has had a massage. So the massage, what was the effect of the massage in terms of loosening this up, enabling him to do it, and what would he need to do to stop that happening again?
So essentially, what the massage does is it normalizes the tissue. So you have effectively a foot in the door to allow you to move in a more functional way. So I typically prescribe there's a shoulder routine that gets your glenohumeral rhythm and everything that's going on in the scapula, gets it moving in the correct order. So then nerves aren't being loaded up on or overcompensated on where they should. Things have room to be actual glide, like your nerves have actual room to get through all the meat that we have in our arms. So being able to free that up and treat it from a neural standpoint is typically how I get through that. And then we have corrective movement that solidifies all of that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. Hollywood Matt Connelly, we're just over the 30-minute mark. I'm sure there's been some comments there for you to shine a light on.
There is. There's just I just have one question before we jump onto the comments, because I wanted to ask this. Being number one in the country, being sort of the top dog, have you found it hard to find like enough of a training session? I know you're training with Ryan and he's pushing you hard, but when you're the guy chasing, it always seems that results seem to come faster than when you're the guy at the top of the mountain. Have you experienced that at all since you've sort of hit that number one ranking?
I did initially, but then we figure out ways to circumvent it pretty easily. And it was just a change of framework. I don't feel like I'm the top dog here because I'm, my mind's elsewhere, right? So it's not a weight that I hold or anything like that, because I'm internationally focused right now. So and in terms of training, I just nerd out with band placement. Might be top two fingers, bottom two fingers that I'm placing the band. I've got someone quite intuitive on the band that can replicate pressures rather than just pulling back. So they'll be quite mobile when they do it. So certainly ways around it, but it does mean I need to focus a lot more on my study to kind of make up the difference, watching and analyzing and stuff like that. So
absolutely. All right, fantastic. Well, we'll quickly jump into the comments here and say hello to everyone who's been in the chat there. We've got Abu Tomang, who says some interesting sounds there. La alia alia ala. And then he has said Alu Akbar, which I believe is God is great in Arabic. So he does pop in every now and then. He's a fan of the show, which is great to see. Miranda Korf, has said, I've been keeping an eye on Lachlan. He has been working really hard in the gym. He's looking strong. He is indeed. Absolutely. Oh. And this was a good comment here from Mr. Peanut. I'm guessing these guys all have the same barber.
Home job.
Saves a lot of money. I don't know if this was Mario Tambakis. I can't quite see from the profile photo. I don't think it is, but he says Lachlan versus Ron Barth in the near future, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, never rule it out.
Yeah, why not?
Phil Woody from the UK has said Lachlan has aced Nugo's cheek curl technique.
Hip thruster.
Oh yeah. Oh, you should see the back pressure one I got going. Just straight to the sky. It's amazing. I got other ones planned. I've got Zurab's bicep curl with reps.
Oh, yeah. Just 5 reps just then.
Yeah. It's gonna be exactly that. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna I don't know. I feel like I should do a series on just replicating arm wrestlers' lifts in the most ridiculous, fashion possible.
That would be fantastic. We've got the Drew is in. He's a legend of arm wrestling streams. It's always great to see the Drew, and he is saying hello to Phil Woody. And this was from your Dick Skin comment earlier. He said that they call you Skinner. Skinner. But he did put up your Instagram account with the link there. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have gone with Orthodox.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, so on the cards, do we know anything that's the next thing that's coming up, or we're sort of waiting for a phone call at this point?
Just waiting for a phone call at this point. So yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll keep pushing. I'll keep making noise. Nugo's a bit of fun. Zero Abs wanted to jump in on the chat, so I'll have a play about with the Shorty Georgians. So
fantastic. And so where can everybody follow you? You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook.
Yeah, mainly Instagram. That's the main handle. So yeah, which is Lachlan.Adair, and you'll see my mug pop up.
Very good.
And that's and people can hit you up with respect to these courses as well through the Instagram. That's the best way.
There's a link in my bio. The Shopify store will get uploaded soon with the ebooks, but the link for the training is through Kahunas. I've got 3 different packages, and I've got a little write-up about each one, so people can choose what's going to suit them best. And we go from there.
That's absolutely fantastic. So if people want to become smarter human beings and become better arm wrestlers all at the same time, they can subscribe to Lachlan Adair's courses. Just go straight over to his Instagram account, which Woody has been kind enough to get onto the screen for us. So thank you very much, Lachlan Adair. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, good. And content for that subscriber page will be going up this week, which will be fun. So yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. Only fans on the horizon?
I mean, I did think about it.
Just even for the toes, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's plenty of weirdos out there.
Well, there you go. You can see all of Lachlan's coaching programs and everything there. You just click on the link in his Instagram. It'll take you through to this area here with the coaching. And you've got the options there with a bit of a write-up as Lachlan has suggested. But any questions or anything like that, obviously you can read through that there, and hopefully you might be jumping on board and getting some coaching from one of the top arm wrestlers in this part of the world, and hopefully soon to be in the entire world. So good to have you on the show, mate. And we always appreciate having Lachlan Adair, number 1 in Australia, and maybe a better double bicep than me.
Maybe.
I know you got some sharp peaks. Mine are different. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm only happy about this line because that's all I've got going over everyone else.
It's a 14-inch arm with a line drawn on.
That's right.
That's
it
what
is.
Line
drawn.
It is.
Is that contouring? Okay. Yeah. I know what
it's a black big pen. That's what it is.
That's why we were late, because I had to draw it on.
Oh, okay. You're in makeup for.
I was. It is a technical thing. Yeah, the shadowing perfect. But, all right, we'll leave it there, everyone. Thank you again, everyone in the comments. Lachlan Adair, follow him, check him out. He is an absolute legend in the arm wrestling world. All right,
thank you.